When we talk about Easter, we're talking about an empty tomb. And when we talk about an empty tomb, we're talking about resurrection. And when we talk about resurrection, we're talking about new life. And new life never comes easy. It usually comes with a bit of pain and struggle and lots of questions. I was reminded of this reality just 30 days ago when we were in the labor and delivery room. And my wife was giving birth to our brand new baby boy. And so for you moms in the room, I'm not saying anything new to you. For you dads or others who have been onlookers with the birthing experience, you'll feel me. When it comes to new life emerging in the world, this process of birth is violent and painful and messy, and it's all sacred. And I'm sitting there in the room thinking, oh my goodness, it's 2016. Isn't there another way to do this? Isn't there a way around this? Like, can we get the baby without going through all of this? And now, you know, somewhere along the way, God and the universe got together and said, nope, not when it comes to new life. Not when it comes to something new emerging in the world. When it comes to these things, you have to go right through it. And it always involves a bit of pain and struggle. I think it's why I like the Easter story so much, especially the one told in John's gospel. Because John doesn't try to pretty things up. He tells it like it is. Here John is, telling the climax of the gospel, telling this story of Jesus' resurrection, of new life. And he tells it in the most ordinary, uneventful way possible. Unlike other gospels, there's no earthquakes to shake things up. There's no Roman guards falling asleep at the tomb. But John does give us this one really, really, really important detail. And in fact, it's how he starts his story. Mary arrives to the tomb and finds it empty. When? While it was still dark. It is a huge heads up from the storyteller. It is a huge heads up. Psst. Easter. Resurrection. New life. This happens in the darkness while it's still dark. And notice when Mary gets to the tomb and finds that it's empty, she's not jumping up and down for joy. She's not shouting, "Happy Easter, Christ is risen." She's standing at the tomb weeping, and she's asking all sorts of questions. What have you done with the body? Where'd you put the body? He was supposed to be here. Don't tell me he wasn't really dead, because I was there on Friday. I was a witness to the cross. I saw what happened. Where have you taken him? And you see, in that moment, Mary's world was falling apart. And by the way, this story, it's not a story of resuscitation. It's not as if, sometimes we like to read it this way, but it's not as if God and some angels came down and performed some CPR on Jesus and brought him back to life. Whew. Glad we got him back, because for a minute there I thought we had lost him. It's a story of resurrection. And resurrection is different. Resurrection says something has to die and something new comes to life. Something new emerges from the depths of darkness. Something brand new is happening. And Mary couldn't grasp it. In the midst of all the weeping, all the grieving, all the questions, Mary couldn't grasp the new thing. And yet, the new thing, Easter, resurrection, new life, it was still happening, wasn't it? I mean, isn't it true? Doesn't Easter happen in the places of death? because these are the places that need it most. Easter happens where things are completely falling apart. What does Easter mean for us? The same thing it meant for Mary. The hope of new life where we need it most. Right here in the midst of a world that's full of death and suffering and injustice. That's where Easter happens. When you get a call, finding out that your boy is in trouble again. And this time it's not just with the principal, it's with the police department. And your heart sinks. That's where Easter happens. When one of my friends who's gay tells me that the Christian church wants nothing to do with him. Right there in the middle of a system of injustice, that's where Easter happens. When you find out you've lost your job, again, and you don't know how to break this news to the people you love most. You don't know how you're going to hold it all together. You don't know how ends are going to meet. That's where Easter happens. Right there in hopelessness. And when the doctor walks into the waiting room, shaking his head, I'm sorry, we've done all we could, but we just couldn't save her. Right there when your world is falling apart. That's where Easter happens. And I get it. You may have all sorts of questions along the way. New life? Here? In this situation? New life in this system? Not possible. Unimaginable. When you find yourself assuming that it's over, that it's lost or gone or broken, that it's fallen apart, that it's been destroyed and it could never be put back together again, that's when resurrection comes along and says, hang on. The story isn't over yet. In fact, things might be just getting started. Death and darkness don't have the final word. Light is possible. And that, my friends, is the good news of Easter.